Hello and welcome to today's episode 6 of DUO on Air. My name is Bertin and I'm the Business Development Director here at DALIM. I'm taking care of the German-speaking territories, Asia and everything, south of the equator. My job today is to get things a little bit started, to get you warmed up, and we start right there. And if you joined some of the previous DUO on Air sessions over the past 6 weeks, you know that we usually do a mix of trends and solutions from various industries. So today we could have done something very similar, about the car industry, showcasing why many car manufacturers here in Europe, Japan, or the US count on our software for the production of marketing material for many, many years now. Just as we see here in the magazine that we published a few years ago. Oops. And we could talk about the work we have done here with our motorbike at some of our partners to get lots of cool pictures taken. Some of those pictures you have seen in previous issues of this DUO on Air. I'm sure you're going to see lots more. Or we could talk about our client Benoit from New York, who was having some fun here in the snow, as we can see. And by the way, was also responsible for the cover of the magazine that we just saw on that picture. Because as you can see, cars, bikes, and motorsport is a little bit more for them, and for us. It's a passion, a passion for many here at DALIM and within our community. I mean, you just have to look at Carl's shoes later on when he's on air. But when it comes to mobility, in the 21st century, there's a few more things, to consider. And that's why we're extremely proud to have a panel of very, very special guests here with us. And I just try to, yes. So we have a panel, joining us from France. We have Jean-Marc Finot, the Senior VP Motorsport at Stellantis. We also have Jean-Louis Dauger, who was with us last year already. He's the Director for Brand and Development at Michel Vaillant. And of course, we have our CEO, Carole Verlet, on that panel, to present their vision of green mobility. And I hope we can meet all there after that panel discussion in our virtual tables in the entertainment and meetup session, so we can hear your views on that subject. But before we go into that, short reminder, we're still looking for the hosting city of our first DALIM software DUO. So far we got quite a few answers. I think not the right one yet. So in order to help you to find the right answer, we have certainly placed a few hints over the past sessions. Here is just a collection of them. You may find some hints as well on our LinkedIn channel. And certainly we'll see a few more hints this session. If you know the city where we hosted the first DALIM software DUO, just email it to us at hello@dalim.com, and you're going to win maybe an iPhone 12. But if you already have an iPhone 12, well, but would prefer a Nintendo Switch instead, then you should join us here after our panel discussion in one of our game tables. So here, the winner of the gaming quiz will win one of those Switches. Speaking about the quiz, of course, we have a winner from last week. I encouraged everyone last week to join the quiz tables to break the winning streak of Jen Weinberg. And we have a winner who's Jude Oliver. Congrats, Jude. So you won that Marvel Comics subscription, as far as I know. So very, very well done. And I was kind of expecting you to win that. So, but that's enough for me now. Let's go back to our panel discussion. So we have our guests ready and waiting. We just have to wire up our CEO, Carole, and the presenter of that panel, Aristide. So give us a couple of minutes, a short break, and we will be right back. See you later. Bye-bye.
Welcome to everyone to this very special episode of DUO21 on air. As Bertin told you before, yes, we love cars, we love motorbikes, we love motorsports in general. This is why we are very happy to have this panel discussion today, because as passionates, we also have this question, about the liability and the future of mobility. Because of course we are in a climate change, so we have, as it say in the word, to change things. And mobility is one of them. And this is why I'm very happy today to have this panel discussion with my very special guests about a vision of green mobility in the future. But enough from me. I would like my guests to introduce themselves. So as you see on the screen right now, I have Carole with me. But I will start with our newcomer. It's his first appearance of one of our events. We are very happy to have him with us. It's Jean-Marc Finot from Stellantis. So Jean-Marc, please, the stage is yours.
Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. So do you hear me? Is it okay?
Yes, we hear you. Thank you very much.
We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So my name is Jean-Marc Finot. I am head of motorsport in Stellantis. Just to present myself, I have been working in automotive for now 36 years. I have been taken on by Peugeot in 86. My first job was a tuning of the 205 GTI. I am here also today because I am a classmate from engineering school of Jean-Marie DALIM, and it's thank you to him to offer me this great opportunity to be with us. So I am in charge of Stellantis Motorsport. Stellantis Motorsport is a factory program, customer racing, and road legal sports car of Stellantis. And Stellantis is a new company merging from old PSA and FCA groups. And we have currently 14 brands. So you see on this chart, we have Italian brands with Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Lancia, Alfa, Abarth, Maserati. French brand with Peugeot, Citroën, DS. German and UK brand with Opel and Vauxhall. And American one with Dodge, Ram, Chrysler, and Jeep. So very famous brand, and supported also by our pure mobility brand, Free2Move and Leasys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jean-Marc. I'm very happy to have you with us on this panel discussion today. You will have a little more time afterwards to give us a lot more insights about Stellantis. But I would like to present our next guest. Welcome our next guest. It's not a guest, actually. It's a very friend of ours. We share a lot of history together with our company. It's Jean-Louis Dauger. Jean-Louis Dauger, please, the stage is yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you today. Well, just like Jean-Marc said, we are more the same look and the same age. We are both together in automotive. The main difference is that Jean-Marc is a big boss in Stellantis, and I'm now working in complete fiction. I'm the director of the brand and development of Michel Vaillant. And Michel Vaillant, if you don't know perfectly well, it's a French comic series that has been created by Jean Graton in 1957. And since then, Michel Vaillant, which is an excellent driver, the best driver in the world, has been produced in more than 70 albums. And we have sold 25 million albums of Michel Vaillant worldwide, mainly in France, Switzerland, Belgium. As you see on this slide, on the left, you have the beginning of the story of Michel Vaillant. It was in 1957, the beginning with the launch of Michel Vaillant in the Journal de Tintin. It was a weekly magazine, very well known in France and in Belgium at this moment. The second thing I wanted to share is the album we launched in 2016, Renaissance, which is the first link with our subject today, with mobility, because we wanted to be the first to have an album with the Formula E. And at this time, it was the fight between Vaillant in Formula E and DS. And I know that DS now is, of course, competing in Formula E under the management of Jean-Marc Finot. The last but not least, as you see on the right, yes, last but not least, as you see on the right, is that since 6 years now, I've developed a complete brand around Michel Vaillant, and Michel Vaillant is not only albums, it's many, many things. And one of the things I wanted to share with you is the work we did 6 years ago to show that it was possible to do some art with Michel Vaillant drawings. And this is what is called Michel Vaillant art strips. And you see one of these images that we propose to our customers just to share a part of Jean Graton, a very talented guy in drawing. So that's it for me for the moment.
Thank you very much, Jean-Louis. I think you are joining us from Chamonix, near the Mont Blanc, if I'm not mistaken. So we are very happy to have you with us today. And last but not least, our final guest, our CEO. Please welcome everybody, Carole Verlet.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction, Aristide. It's actually pretty humbling to speak on such a panel, you know, because on the one hand you have Michel Vaillant, on the other you have all those incredible brands with Motorsport at the top of it. As we all know, I mean, what happens in motorsport for a brand, especially a car, a motorbike brand, is very often trickling down to the consumer level at one point or the other. So to hear actually about the future of motorsport and to take it from the angle of sustainability was quite a challenge, and we are very happy actually to have found the right guest actually for this incredible session. As you can see, the two wheels and the four wheels come and go on our key visuals. What you're looking at right now on the slide is nothing more than just a representation of this motorbike I have next to me, which was born actually out of a cooperation between BMW and Michel Vaillant. And since we happen actually to produce via our clients in Belgium and in France, Dupuis, who is the owner of Michel Vaillant today, all these albums, we thought it might be a pretty good idea actually to write a story about it. So you will see in the next few slides a few pictures extracted from that trip that this motorbike did across the Alps. And the relationship went so far that this album was actually introduced even here by Jean-Louis. That was at the end of 2018, and that gave us the idea of a further cooperation, which is another album that you will hear about, where we even sponsor a racing car virtually in that book. So a few albums already on their way to some of the clients. There will be more actually to win later on, but just wanted to illustrate actually how the content travels from our clients to us back and forth.
Thank you very much, Carole. I was part of the team who had to bring the motorcycle down. It was quite a hassle because it was on the 4th floor for all the people that know our building. But I want to give it a chance to Jean-Marc to introduce himself a bit more. I know that on the next slide we have a little video, so we will play the video. And Jean-Marc, the stage is just yours after it to present Stellantis more, and you, of course. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you for this image. I will be back at what Jean-Louis said about Michel Vaillant. So we have a common DNA as Michel Vaillant comics were in my cradle, and I was actually born in cars and in motorsport. So I know many Michel Vaillant by heart as 13 it at the start, it's a part of my motivation to bring back Peugeot in Le Mans that will happen next year for our hypercar championship. So Stellantis Motorsport, it's 14 brands. We had many titles, many victories. So you see in the chart a glittering motorsport record with 27 rally championship world title with Lancia, Citroën, Peugeot, Fiat. Just to have an idea, you will see afterward why I say that. In Corsica, we won the rally close to 30 times with Lancia, Citroën, Peugeot, Fiat, and Alfa Romeo as well. We won the Dakar. Indianapolis, won by Peugeot and Maserati. We won Indianapolis before World War I. At that time, we sent cars from Sochaux in France to Indianapolis, and it was too expensive to bring them back. We left the car in America, and one of them has been founded 3 years ago, and it had been sold in an auction at 7 billion euros. So we should have kept it. We won also 3 times Pikes Peak, Le Mans, and other manufacturers. So it's long. I won't describe all of them, but it means that motorsport is in the DNA of all our Stellantis brands. So currently, our activity in motorsport, of course, it's a passion, and it's also a very interesting job, as motorsport is a small company inside the Stellantis with full autonomy to make a very fast decision. So we have to make our decision in a few minutes to be ready for the next race. And we have to be at a cutting edge level of technology to fight against the best car manufacturer in the world. And in the same time, you have to cope with the emotion of a sports team like soccer or rugby team. So it's a very, very interesting job. Currently, we are involved in 2 world championships, one with DS in Formula E, and the second one with Peugeot in endurance. So I will describe very quickly what are these championships. The first with Formula E, it's a single-seater cars, 100% electric. It's pure electric with it's a zero emission racing. These races are happening in world big cities. We have chosen this championship for the brand because our customer for an high-end brand with high purchase power are in these cities. It's also showcase our skills on an electrified powertrain. And in some of these cities, internal combustion engine will be banned in a short time, so the mobility will be full electric. And it's covering all continents, so it's very interesting to showcase our skills, our efficiency. So never in the field of motorsport, we had so many car manufacturers officially engaged in a championship. You see many famous or high-end brands as Jaguar, BMW, Mercedes, DS, and so on. For us, it's a proof of legitimacy as we want to make DS an high-end brand to compete and to fight against German premium brands is in our target. So we have been 2 times world champion, drivers and manufacturers in 2019 and 2020, and our target is to make that trick and to be world champion this year as well. It said also that Audi and BMW will leave end of the year because they had enough to be beaten by a French car manufacturer, DS. So we are also in another championship, Endurance World Championship with Peugeot brand. It's a very famous championship with endurance car endurance racing, and with the race of 24 hours of Le Mans. I think that most of you saw movies with Steve McQueen or with Matt Damon, Ford versus Ferrari. It has a great awareness, and the first race in Le Mans was in 1923. So we will race for the first century in 2023, fighting against other car manufacturers. So the awareness is so high that when I have prepared the deck for the board to make the decision of being back in endurance racing, we had a survey on Le Mans, and the awareness of Le Mans was really huge in the United States, as 30% of American people are aware of what are 24 hours of Le Mans. It means that you have more American persons knowing Le Mans than American person able to place France or Germany on a map. I think we should have some charts. Yes, you see it's a World Championship starting in America, end of winter, going after in spring in Europe, and finishing in Asia. So it has a very good coverage. And you will see that in endurance, we never had so many car manufacturers officially engaged. Even in the golden era of endurance, we just have 3 or 4 manufacturers as Porsche, Ferrari, and Ford. So you see that from 23 we will have Audi, Porsche, Peugeot, McLaren, Aston Martin. Alpine, I think they should give up.
We just lost you for a second, Jean-Marc, but please keep on. You are back with us.
Okay, on the endurance racing, the development of cars and the operation are led by our team, Peugeot Sport, inside Stellantis Motorsport. And same engineers have developed the 508 Peugeot Sport engineered. So it means that on the road you can drive a car that has been designed with the same skill and the same DNA as a motorsport. So it's the most powerful Peugeot ever, with 360 horsepower and a very low level of CO2. You see 46 grams of CO2. So a very, very good fuel efficiency, no taxes, and high performance car. So I am ready to take any order today on this car.
Thank you very much, Jean-Marc, for this presentation about Stellantis. I'm sure we learned a lot of things and also made a little tour of the world. So as a moderator, I will be guiding us through this panel discussion. We have not the whole day, unfortunately, but I would like to start off by playing a little game, not just with my panelists here, but also with our crowd that is attending. This is why I have my tablet in my hand. The game is very simple. I just want you to think about one word that comes into your mind when you think about green mobility. And our attendees are able to write it down in the chat. So please feel free to write it right now in the chat what you're thinking of. It could be any word. There is no wrong and bad answers. And for our panelists, I would like you to please keep this word in your mind for now. And after a short not break, but after a short moment, I will ask you to reveal me this word. So please feel free for attendees to write down things in the chat that you are thinking of. This is a very exciting one. Sustainability, of course. Oh, there's a lot of coming in. Green mobility, bikes, torque, yeah, hydrogen. Yeah, they're interesting words. So, Jean-Louis, could you please reveal your word, the first word you're thinking about when you were saying green mobility? Oh, you're still muted, Jean-Louis. Please.
Do you read it?
I'm not reading it. I have a bad quality. Complex?
Okay,
Complex,
so
yes. The word is
I just
complex.
wrote
Complex, yes. The word is complex.
yes, because it's according to me there is absolutely no one solution on this, and this is a big complexity of this problem that we have to face many solutions. So it's complexity.
It's indeed a very good word. Maybe Jean-Marc, what is your word you're thinking about?
My word is freedom, because green mobility will give us a freedom of mobility to go everywhere, as the internal combustion engine will be banned from some places. If we want to keep on moving, it's mandatory for freedom to move in our to be able to move in our democracy. Green mobility will offer that to everyone at affordable price.
It's indeed a very good thing. I think we're coming back to the roots of mobility in the first place when it all came out. So, Carol, please, what is your word you thought about?
I'm a little biased because for us, green mobility was a provocation. We basically started to electrify our fleet of cars back when the BMW i3 came out. And what happened that we received the car, and then some of us, because all engineer was asking, what is it worth actually to have a green or supposedly green car if you cannot actually supply it with green energy? So we're looking at what our energy source would be at that time, and since it was essentially nuclear, and I have my reservation for nuclear power plants, we said, okay, what else do we have? And we looked for hydroelectricity, which we ended up sourcing out of the French-Italian border, Swiss-Italian border. And that electricity is also what powers today the building since 2014. And this is also what powers all the computers and everything in the building. So in actually just looking at how to source energy for a car, we ended up actually transforming the way we are supplying energy to the building. I think it's a good illustration of how a small thing can actually take us a little further when we talk innovation.
Thank you very much, Carol. Indeed, it was a big change for us, and it came very early. As a young guy, I'm very happy that DALIM took this way, even when I was not there. Thank you very much for your contribution, also to all our attendees for your great ideas in the chat. We will now move on to a little bit a part that is a little bit more traditional. I will ask questions to our panelists, but I want to remind you guys that, of course, don't hesitate, don't miss the chance, to write down in the chat all your questions you can have for all those people that are united today in this panel discussion. So my first question is towards my whole panelists. Is very simple. I want to go back in time, and I want to know what was the first thing that happened when you came across mobility. Maybe Jean-Marc, you can answer this question first.
For me, mobility, my first activity was the tuning of the 205 GTI. When I left the school, my first job when I have been hired by Peugeot was to make a drift on the track to tune the car. So that was my first contact with mobility, and that was not so unpleasant.
Thank you very much, Jean-Marc. So the good old days, right, Jean-Marc?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It was a very funny car. You didn't need the steering wheel to turn. You just have to lift off the throttle, and the car was oversteering. That was very funny.
Thank you very much, Jean-Marc. Carol, what was your first? Sorry.
Yes, I think that Jean-Louis should have also some memories of this car.
Yes, yes.
You-
I mean, it's incredible because this is the first car I bought when I finished my studies in Paris, and the first car I bought was a Peugeot 205 GTI, 1.6 and 105 horsepower, I think. So, well, it's nice. Really,
Very
really
nice.
nice car.
Very
I
nice.
would have liked
Okay,
to
so
So
keep it.
shared
hopefully,
memories there.
hopefully I finished my studies a little bit before Jean-Louis, so the car was available when he started working.
Yes, it's exactly this. Absolutely.
And the same question goes, of course, to Carol. What was your first touch with mobility?
Well, actually, you have it right there on the screen. I mean, this is a car from 1973. And in 1983, you know this malus mansion, that is a French specialty in terms of taxation of big engine. Those cars were actually taxed in a similar way that the French are taxing today big engines. And it would cost the equivalent of $10,000 or 10,000 euro just to get that car on the road for 1 year. So the value of those cars were actually on the floor. You would buy that less than a 2 chevaux or anything else. And I managed to convince two of my engineering student friends to share the cost of putting that car on the road, and then I would cover the car cost and whatever repair, since I would spend most of my time under the car, driving it sometimes. And that was actually what we used to cruise between Strasbourg in those days and Nuremberg to work at Siemens, where I was a student, and I had one of the nicest cars in the parking lot at that time, and we could cruise over 200 kilometers an hour, and it was pretty cool.
That's very nice indeed. I didn't have this car as a student, I have to admit. Jean-Louis, same question for you. So, of course, we heard that you share some history with Jean-Marc, as it seems, but I'm sure that you had another contact that I will just put on the screen right now. Can you tell us a bit more, please?
But I mean, I was born in 1965, and at this time I was waiting each week for Le Journal de Tintin, which is exactly what you're seeing right now. And Le Journal de Tintin began to present Michel Vaillant in 1958, so before. But of course, when I was, I perfectly remember, 7, 8 years old, I was reading each week Le Journal de Tintin, and I was wondering after the 2 pages of Michel Vaillant, what would be, how would it follow the week after? So I was really in this situation. So as you can imagine, it's now my job. So I work a lot, but I don't have the sensation to work because I work in my passion, and it's what I dream when I was a kid. So I'm a very lucky guy.
Yes, it's all about having a passion when you if you can put it with work together. I mean, you can't ask for more. And my next question, also for all panelists, is how did the topic of green mobility came across your professional and maybe also private lives the first? So I know that Carol gave us a little bit of insights about how it came first in the business world. This is why I'll put out in the next slide. Carol, can you tell us a bit more of the story, please?
Yes, actually, it has to do. This is a key visual that goes back to 2015, where we just had, one of the first i3 around in Europe, and we're, supplying it with hydroelectricity. So we came up with the idea of actually a key visual that would tell the story, and this is as close as we got. The car actually was decorated like that for a few trade shows. And we took it around telling story about, how we harness the power of water to basically, spin the disks of the computers. And doing such, we're probably one of the first fighting the usual greenwashing you see in the computer and IT business, where people say, don't print this and you will save a tree, which is one of the greatest lies on the planet when it gets to green energy, and especially those computers that are consuming a lot of this energy, including our mobiles and everything else. So I think the cars is what everybody is focusing on. but it's the beginning of an answer. And the answer is not necessarily a switch entirely to another source of energy, but maybe an intelligent mix of everything. I believe our panelists are going to explain better than me.
Of course. And Jean-Louis, I know that the next slide is of course for you. I will put it right now. And can you tell us about what we are seeing on the screen right now? Because I'm not sure people are used to that.
Will maybe give some ideas to Jean-Marc for the future program in Le Mans. It was in 2017. It was the 16th anniversary of Michel Vaillant, and we had an album called Rébellion in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And the car was in the fiction this car you're seeing right now, which is the Vaillant ELM01, as you can see on the map. What is really nice is that in reality it was an LMP2. So maybe you remember that we did with an LMP2 a Vaillant Rébellion for this 24 Hours of Le Mans. So it's typically what we try to do with Michel Vaillant is to mix fiction and reality. So in reality the car was a normal car, a thermic car, I would say, with the engine. But in the album, it was this car you're seeing. And if you look a little bit more, you will see that it had an electric engine with an hydrogen system just to produce energy. And it was really what we were looking for in the new season of Michel Vaillant, is to introduce the son of Michel Vaillant, and with many young geeks around this son called Patrick, and working on mobility, but I would say green mobility, just like we are talking right now.
Thank you very much, Jean-Louis. And of course, same question goes to you, Jean-Marc. How did the green mobility topic come across the first time for you?
Michel Vaillant dreamed it, and Peugeot made it. So that was the prototype Peugeot 908 with hybridization. So that was our first hybrid car, because motorsport, you know, all that motorsport is a laboratory for new technologies. And as soon as in 2011, we had designed a prototype with hybridization. It's this 908. The current car we are designing, and that will be presented the 6th of July, as an architecture starting from this car, and it was an inspiration source for our designers. As we stopped Le Mans, for the road legal car, we use all the technology that has been developed to make a tube weight with only 49 grams of CO2. That was our first contact with green mobility. The first one with motor racing, and the second one, the appliance on the road legal car. Until now, all our cars are available with electrified powertrain, and with zero emission powertrain. So straight from the track to the road.
Thank you very much, Jean-Marc. Sorry. We see a lot of racing cars, and actually, this is a question for you, Jean-Marc, because when I think about motorsports, I'm thinking about a sport that cannot go on in the future. It's not clean, if I can say. So can you tell us what brands like Stellantis are making happen to make the sport cleaner, if I can say, greener?
Yes, we know that for green mobility, the motorsport has a deficit of image. It's the reason why automotive world on the motorsport is one step ahead in terms of greenhousing treatment. So no one industry made as much effort as automotive industry to get cleaner and cleaner. So for instance, the only sports championship, I don't speak of motorsport, but all sports, including all different sports, soccer, athleticism, box, everything. The only one to be carbon neutral is Formula E, single-seater electric cars. So you see on this chart what are the emission of some championships. The Saucer World Cup, it's 2,000 million of tons of CO2. Olympic Games is more than 1,000. You see Tour de France, Roland Garros. Le Mans is close to be carbon neutral with only 47,000 tons of CO2, and Formula E is carbon neutral. So it's impressive how automotive world on the motorsport is efficient in terms of CO2 compared to other sports.
Thank you very, Jean-Marc. This is very impressive. I of course, when we made this keynote, like everyone seeing right now, I think we all quite shaked our heads, and we couldn't think that Formula E could be carbon negative. So not carbon negative, but carbon neutral. So it's very impressive. My next question goes to Carole Verlet. Sorry, Jean-Marc. Do you want to say something?
Of course, the amount of CO2 is including all the move of spectators.
Of course. Very important to be accurate, I think. My next question goes to Carole. So all our attendees maybe more know us for providing sustainable and tailored software solutions. But as we all know, and as we can see from the setting here, the topic of mobility is very important to us. Can you please tell us where this is coming from and why it's so important for us?
Well, I would say it's like a lot of things we try and we work with our clients, and that puts us on a course. I mean, so as you can see from the picture that is across your screen right now, I mean, the motorbike right here actually was inspiring for a number of our clients. Actually, we have even in Germany actually people passionate about Michel Vaillant, who, by the way, are very happy that this latest one is translated in German, which is not always the case, and they simply asked us whether they could shoot the motorbike, and we put the motorbike on stage in a professional photo studio, and since that wasn't enough and they wanted to drive it, they took the motorbike across the Alps, and we drove all the way to another motorbike friend of ours, with Stefano Righetti from IFEN in Lake Garda. And that motorbike ended up doing the Lake Garda tour with a few other Ducatis and crazy other machines. And we have great pictures coming back. And a long story is nice, but a small video even better. So I propose you to watch a 1-minute sequence that is just out of the box as they were coming back from the Alps with a voice off, which is just from one French-speaking lady that they had in the building. So take a look at what professors can do in no time.
Notre vie est comme une longue route. Elle n'est la plupart du temps pas droite. Elle est composée de montées et de descentes, de courbes et de détours. Suivez votre voie intérieure et regardez droit devant. Avec de la chance, vous trouverez un compagnon pour se joindre à vous, pour vous soutenir. Deux parties d'un grand ensemble. Soyez ouverts à la beauté qui vous entoure. Et faire de la vie un tour.
Very nice sequence.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just it just happened. It wasn't the storyboard. Came up pretty spontaneously, and that is the result. So now the story goes on. That was at a moment where Staud was pitching on BMW Worldwide, and the fact that BMW Worldwide is now served by MediaMonk, who just acquired stout might be coincidence, but maybe not.
Might be. My next question is also a specific one to Jean-Louis. So Jean-Louis, we know that the Michel Vaillant, it's all about, precision. You want for your readers to feel the truck, smell the truck, and obviously a very famous thing we know from the Michel Vaillant is also on the hood of the bike. If you can show me, please, right now on the screen. If you can show, like here, there's the famous roar that is written, and also here on the helmet. And of course, electric cars doesn't make that sound. So how will you be able, as a brand, to change the whole culture you built, and in the future? Jean-Louis, please.
Well, I think it's a very interesting question. The thing that you have to understand that for comic books, if you just draw a car without anything, this car will not move. To make it move, Jean Graton created a total syntax with all these vroar, vro, etc. And with this signs, it was possible to put some movement, to put some noise in these comic books. Of course, as we said, when we had to propose the Formula E experience with an album in 2016, of course, these cars, they don't make the same noise. So I had an idea. It was to ask our fans, according to them, what could be the noise made by an electric car. And it was very interesting because we did it on Facebook. We had many people because the fans of Michel Vaillant, they are very linked to the brand and they want to propose, etc. And we had things very interesting. And we have now two sounds in electric. We have the sounds when the car accelerates, and we have the sound when the car decelerates. And when the car accelerates, I will do it like this. It's vrui, vrui, which is V-R-U-E-E-E-E, vrui, which is the acceleration of the car. And when the car, when Antonio Felix da Costa in his DS Formula E car, the world champion, is braking, it's the opposite. It's like driu, which is D-R-E-U-U-U, driu. And it's what we are doing now with this electric car. So, vrui, driu, which is the new sound made by the car. It's really what Jean Graton wanted to introduce in his comic books and to be as accurate as possible. So we did our best for this.
Thank you very much, Jean-Louis. I think we have the best part of the whole webinar. It's you making the sounds we're seeing on the screen. We got it recorded. Don't worry. We will have a replay of it. Thank you very much for answering these very specific questions. I know that just told me that Jean-Marc has to go in 3 minutes, but I have a very special game that I want to play, especially with you, Jean-Marc. I will go quickly through it, and the game is Who Knows the Truck? I will show some pictures of the trucks, as you will see on the next slide. And please, our attendees can also write down in the chat which truck they are thinking. So here's the first truck. Just shout it out loud. The first one gets a point.
Monza.
Monza. Jean-Marc was too fast. Jean-Louis, we are not at school. Just shout it out. Okay, Monza, we got the first truck. Second one. A bit harder. A bit harder.
Hockenheim.
Interlagos, no?
No.
Zandvoort, no.
We have it's another time zone. Maybe it helps you.
Interlagos.
No, it's Austin in the USA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Maybe we got it wrong. I don't know. We go on with the next truck. This is a tricky one.
I thought I was good at this, but I'm very bad.
It's the first edition of the F1 in 1950.
Silverstone.
À Reims.
Yes, exactly. It's in the United Kingdom. It was the
Yeah.
first truck of the first edition of F1. The next truck, Carol, be attentive.
This is the
Hungary.
this is
Hungary.
this
Hungary.
is the
Hungary, yes.
Budapest.
Hungary, yes.
yes Hungaroring. I have a special memory of this one.
Yeah. Maybe you can share the special memory with us because we found very special things last night.
Very quickly, yeah. Yeah, these pictures.
You got the point.
These pictures are very old, actually, and that was my first press card. I could actually walk in the paddock and take those pictures, and I could not even think that we have two Brazilians right there on the podium. I mean, and one of them is Senna, and number 3 is Nigel Mansell, and I took those pictures in 1986 as I was still working for the embassy, and that was one of my weekends. And since I like having a press card with me, you never know.
Thank you very much, Carol. Very nice memories. Jean-Marc, last truck for you before you have to go. This is especially for you.
Le Mans.
Hey, guys, you are too good. You are too good.
This is a straight line.
It could be the street in Kehl, you know. But anyway, yes, it was Le Mans. And I'm sure Jean-Marc has something to say for the Le Mans because he already talked about it. This is our next slide.
Yes, Le Mans, our hypercar will race at Le Mans with 500 kilowatt internal combustion engine on the rear, 200 kilowatt electric motor on the front. So the car will have a lap in less than 3 minutes 30 seconds. It's more than 250 kph of average speed, and it will run more than 5,000 kilometers in 24 hours. It means that
Very nice.
in just one race, the car will make more kilometers than a Formula One during all the season.
This is where you compare Formula One and Formula E. It's a very interesting. The VWC, sorry. The next truck. Jean-Marc, if you have to leave us, thank you very much for your contribution today. If you can stay, please stay, of course. The next truck.
Yes, I inform my boss that I will be a little late. So I will stay.
Oh, thank you very much. Duo is more important than the bosses of Stellantis. I record that also as well.
We don't want you to get into trouble.
I know very well this track, Jean-Marc, because we are working on it. Actually,
yes.
It's Pikes Peak.
Jean-Louis, I know this track is very special to you.
Yeah, I know also as we won 3 times, 2 times with Vatanen, and the 3rd time with Sebastian Loeb.
I win
Absolutely, track. And I think that the next slide maybe will be interesting for you. This is it. So on this slide, for all the attendees, you will discover the next album of Michel Vaillant. It will be delivered in October, and Michel Vaillant will try to win Pikes Peak with his car, and it's gonna be a electric car but with hydrogen system, just like we did in Le Mans. And I think, Jean-Marc, you will like it because you will find some tricks regarding Harry Vatanen and the famous moment when he was using his. You remember when he was using his hand because there was a lot of sun, and we wanted to use it in the album. So in October, 15th of October, the launch of Pikes Peak, the number 80 album of Michel Vaillant.
Super.
Thank you very much.
I will count the days by October.
Very nice. Jean-Louis, don't forget to send us ones, right?
Yes, okay. I have a list.
Thank you very much. So our next truck, maybe you recognize it. It's actually an island. It was a trap. Which island is it, Carol?
Corsica, actually. A lot of our friends and community know. I mean, it's an island we feel pretty close to. Because it looks like a racetrack when when you look at it like that.
It would be a very interesting racetrack.
And if yeah, so
Yeah, it's a rally track where Stellantis brands won 29 times.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you remember the Porsche, that was the second slide of the presentation. This is a Porsche that Benoît Lagarde registered to Monte Carlo, and that same car is going to do the Corsica Tour, basically the Tour de Corse this year. It will be in October, and this Vaillant is going to be there too, of course, and a few other, two-wheelers that might be interesting to look at.
Maybe you talking
Like
about
this,
this
for
two-wheeler.
instance, yeah, but we don't want to say too much on this.
Okay,
now. I mean,
take a quick look on it.
I really apologize. I have to leave you. Thank you very much for
No
this
problem,
meeting.
Jean-Marc. We're hitting to an end anyways. Thank you very much for your contribution, and hope to see you at one of our events in the future.
yeah, thank you both. I mean, great to have you.
So for our attendees, bye-bye. For our attendees, thank you very much for attending, but please don't leave your seats right now. As you see maybe on the screen, there's a little clue for you, okay? So acknowledge it, see it, and of course play the Duo City game. I would like to let the people know that we have our grand finale next week, where we will have Bowden as our star guest, and also Pat McGrew, that is a specialist in brands. And we will talk about how to unlock your brand assets bottlenecks. And we have a very special second part, because we have a live concert for our grand finale. And please don't miss out. But before you leave, take the chance to network with people. We are living in times where we don't travel too much. So leverage AirMeet. And of course, for Jen Weinberg, especially for you, don't miss out on the gaming quiz tables, where we'll be able to win a Nintendo Switch this time. Thank you very much. This was it. We are over time. Thank you much, Carole. Thank you, Jean-Louis. And Jean-Marc already left us. Jean-Louis as well. Thank you. And see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.